2024 is almost in the books. What a year it's been. Overall, you know what I'm saying, in regards to from multiple different standpoints. It's been such a great year. Such a great year, man. I think this is going to be the final Afterthoughts of the year. Only reason why I say that is because after the actual last chapter drops, we're going to be locked into chapter of the year ranking season. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if we'll be able to do an Afterthoughts, but I'm not going to count it out. I'm not going to count it out because if we get another chapter like this, I'm like, man, we're going to have to figure something out. You know what I'm saying? We're going to have to figure something out. It's taken me multiple days to be able to sit in this chair, get in front of this camera, look at all of you dead in the eye and tell you once again this chapter was peak fiction, you know? Bro, this young is different. So, before we get into any of that, before I talk about the Game Awards and the insanity that was this chapter and read some comments, I have to give a massive shout out to two individuals that put out videos from opposing perspectives and point of views that I truly appreciated, because I love reading and or watching anything that has to do with an opposing perspective of mine, specifically because I can't view the series through that lens, or even if it's not just One Piece, it could be any other story out there. I really do appreciate seeing things from the opposing perspective because I can't step into those shoes. I can't see the series through those lenses, you know. We all come at this from multiple different backgrounds, in particular, the things we've experienced, the stories that we enjoy, how we view everything through those lenses. I just can't see it through those lenses, right? Especially whenever I'm as emotionally invested as in a series as I am One Piece. And so I truly, like, y'all have no idea how much I appreciate when someone is able to detail why it is that they feel about something, and it's the opposing way of like how I feel about it, right? So two examples of this happened in this past week in the Jay Wano video, which I shout out to my boy JD Legend. Of course, that's the good brother. Love that man with every fiber in my being, and all love to the rats as well. That's my guy right there. But he put out a Wano video, and I've listened to his thoughts on Wano throughout the last couple of years. But being able to see that him construct the video in the way that he did and talk about it in absolute detail, I truly appreciated it because it allowed me to see completely from that perspective, and I couldn't be more grateful. Because now I feel like I have a better understanding of the overall perspective that's shared by quite a few individuals in regards to the arc that I love more than anything else, which is Wano. And I feel like the more that I see those kinds of perspectives and I'm able to compare them with my own, it allows me to solidify my own thoughts on the arc and why it truly is my favorite arc in One Piece. And so I appreciate Jay for that, man. And similarly, in a less, of course, Wano that was looking back like 2 years into the past, and something that is for events that happened just recently. Mr. Morj, shout out to Evil Parvish. All right, shout out to my guy. Go Morj Rangers. You know what I'm saying? We are here for the Morj greatness, and I appreciate Morj so much. Not just for this video, but for the multitude of times that he was able to put together a very sound argument for something that I do not agree with. And just allowing me to see that perspective so well, to allow me to step into those shoes. He did the same thing with a video earlier this week in talking about the Saul chapter with Robin in 1133 and his thoughts on that. And the reason why I appreciate it so much is because the Saul thing was the one thing, I think I even said this in the reaction, it was the one thing where I was like, I'm not gonna hear it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's, I'm extremely open when it comes to the thoughts of the individuals in the community, that especially whenever they oppose my own, right? But the Saul stuff, man, I was like, I refuse to hear it, man. I don't want to hear anything coming off of the emotions of that chapter, especially. I was like, I ain't trying to hear it, man. You know what I'm saying? But I think Morj did such a fantastic job of constructing his argument. And in particular, once again, of allowing me to step into the shoes and see the series through the lens of someone who does not, who is not seeing things the way that I see them. That I came out of that video being like, you know what, man, I see it. I understand why people feel this way. I completely get it now. And I couldn't appreciate Morj more for that. So thank you, Morj, for making that video. Even if the only person who comes out of it with a positive thing is myself, considering their reaction to the video. But I truly do appreciate you, man. And please continue to make stuff like that, because it allows me to be able to see things from the opposing perspective, to the heads to my tails, where we can flip the coin and I can see how thin the line is between the two sides. And so I really do appreciate you, because this is my favorite chapter of the year by far, and it's without question the moment that's impacted me the most emotionally since 1102. And while watching that video, it was sort of like reinforcing why it is that I felt the way that I did, and why it is that I feel about this story the way that I do. And so, not just for Jay and Morj, but this goes out to anyone in the community who is afraid of expressing how they truly feel, whether it be positively or negatively. I can assure you that someone out there is going to appreciate your thoughts. And so if you are being honest and sincere, obviously there's a lot of trolling in this community and individuals who are just trying to either make a quick buck or attempt to rile everyone up and rage bait. I'm talking about individuals who are sincere and honest with themselves and what it is that they have to say about this series. Those individuals, I can assure you, whether it's a positive thing, a negative thing, or one that goes right down the middle and wants to explore both perspectives, do not stop creating. Do not stop writing and or recording, because there are individuals out there who are attempting to see things from either the opposing perspective or from a similar perspective, and those opinions are extremely, extremely important. And so, I want to end off this section by saying this. Thank you to everyone who has continued to be honest and sincere with themselves, no matter what it is, when it comes to One Piece, because it is very, very valuable. There is nothing more valuable in this community than honesty, considering how many communities are just seeped in dishonesty, and individuals who latch on to other opinions and latch on to how others feel about things without actually reflecting on how they themselves feel about it. And if there's one thing I can give so much credit for in regards to this community, is that there's a lot of people that say, screw all of that. This is how I feel about it. And I don't give a flying flag nards what anyone else has to say. And that is, to me, is extremely beautiful. Because when a series means something to you, you better believe that junk's gonna come out. You know what I'm saying? In either way, whether you believe that it can be much stronger because of the way that you feel about it, or whether it's living up to your expectations, I don't care. Just be honest with yourself, man. Be honest with yourself, and I promise you those words are going to hit someone. It's going to hit someone. And I just, thank you. Thank you to the individuals that continue to create stuff from the opposing perspective. Because like I said, I would never be able to see that perspective if it wasn't for those individuals that continue to create things, whether it be threads or videos, that can allow me to see things from that point of view, no matter how much I may disagree and or agree with the things that are being said. So all love to those individuals, man. Now, let's get into 2024. And let's get into the Game Awards, which is going to happen later today. And let me tell you, dude, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Now, this might come back to bite me, but it's all right. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is going to win Game of the Year today. I don't know if it's going to win in Jeff Keighley's Game of the Year, but it most certainly is going to win mine. It's most certainly going to win mine. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth might be the greatest gaming experience that I've had over like a course of COVID. That thing meant something to me, man. And so that is my Game of the Year. Now, what follows that? Obviously, the Kai no Kiseki's Peak Fiction, the Metaphor Refantasio's Peak Fiction, the Like a Dragon Infinite Walls Peak Fiction, the Astrobots, you know, there's a lot of greatness. East 10, a lot of peak. A lot of peak. But when I'm looking at this year and the nominees that are there, when you've got Astrobot, banger, Balatro, banger, Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree, banger, man. So good. Metaphor Refantasio, peak, man. And then you got my FF7. And it's like, dude, I don't care who wins. They're all bangers to me. They are all... Oh, and Black Myth Wukong. I haven't played Wukong, but I trust the however many individuals that have played the game. I can't form an opinion on it myself, but hey, people ride and die by the game. That means it's speaking to someone. You know, I don't know if it's me, but it's speaking to someone. I just need to play it. I haven't played it yet. So, it's just too many 100-hour RPGs this year, man. I couldn't get to everything. You know, I couldn't get to everything. But to the individuals, of course, that love that game, I'm rooting for y'all as well. But I played those other 5, and they smacked, man. You know, those were bangers. So I don't care what wins. I'm here for the vibes. I'm here for, of course, rooting FF7 because it's a game that means so much to me. But whether it wins anything or comes out of it at all, I'm just happy I got that experience. But I will be rooting for it. Don't get me wrong. I will be rooting for it. I'll be rooting for that and Metaphor super, super hard in multiple different categories. So excited for that. It's going to be a good show, mainly for the vibes, and it's like another E3, so that's always going to be a good time. Now, the announcements, however, that's the thing that I've been thinking about a lot. And so, announcement-wise, Kingdom Hearts 4. Let's get it, man. It's time. It's time, dude. I'm here for a Cage 4 announcement, or a Persona 6 announcement, or a Square Enix remaster, whether it's Tactics or Final Fantasy 9, whatever the Flying Flag it ends up being, or a Final Fantasy 13 port finally to modern day consoles. I mean, come on, Lightning has been stuck on the Xbox 360 and the PS3 for all these years. I know that y'all are afraid of her taking up all of the attention, but man, we gotta get these things on modern platforms, dude. We gotta get FF13 on modern platforms. I can still play it because it's a 360 game that I can just pop into a thing, but man, we gotta put it on modern consoles, bro. You know, you gotta put it on there. I'm trying to get some trophies. Man. More trophies. And or achievements, you know? And so, let's get that port. Let's put it on the Switch, too. Let's make it happen. So yeah, for Square Enix, obviously Kingdom Hearts 4 is the thing I'm looking forward to the most. But then on the other things within within the thing, obviously, maybe we'll see some GTA 6. That would be a lot of fun. I know there's been rumblings of like potential Half-Life 3. That would be insane. BioShock. If we get another BioShock announcement, man, I'd be through the moon. I absolutely love that franchise. And I think we're seeing Borderlands 4 for sure tomorrow. Well, that was already announced. And probably some more Monster Hunter and some other things that have already been announced. But as far as like unannounced stuff, I would not be surprised if we get to see like a new Naughty Dog game. I know that's been, God, man, what was the last one? Like 2020? And maybe a look into Sony Santa Monica's new thing, or maybe Wolverine for for the Insomniac studio. There's a lot of potential. A lot of potential, which is why I'm so excited for the potential announcements that we could get tonight. Even if just one of these or two of these happen, it would be super, super dope. And so obviously, coming from the JRPG space, I'm more invested in the potential announcements coming in over there. But I play a lot of games, so I'd be down for any of the announcements I just stated, and all the ones that I haven't even talked about, like the Bloodborne thing, which we're all waiting for, another FromSoft game. I mean, come on, bro, it's my studio, you know what I'm saying? So if we get another From Software game, I'll be there no matter what. So that is going to be super dope. But regardless, yeah, super excited for tonight, and it's going to be a good show. It's going to be a good show, and I mean, it's I have something to root for this year. You know, it's like really, really root for in FF7 Rebirth. So I'm so excited for it, and all of Jeff who continues to put all this stuff together. Now, let's get into this week's chapter. We have a few comments here, and I want to give some time to this, because obviously this chapter meant a lot to us. This chapter meant a lot to anyone who's been following this series for a very long time. Excuse me. And whether you felt something or you didn't, I hope that at the very least the individuals that did not feel something can look at the individuals that did and understand why it is that they felt that thing, right? Because this week's chapter of One Piece, regardless of what side of the spectrum you feel on, or that you are on in regards to the events that led to this taking place and how it all was executed, this week's chapter hit me harder than anything since 1102. I mean, brother, this chapter reached, man. And I was in that crazy mental space that I was telling y'all, thanks to what happened last week. But sweet mother of Flagnarts, even without that, I'm sure this probably would have destroyed me. That was just added a different layer. It was a really, really special chapter, man. And let me read a comment before I start crying here. Manas 190 comes in and says, as story I've invested half my life for. If one payoff hits this hard, I'm not ready for what's to come. One Piece is beyond special. I wanted to highlight this comment. Shout out to Manas 190. That's talking about investment, and if this payoff is hitting this hard, imagine for the things that are to come. And I actually thought about this after the stream, or not after the stream, after the chapter, whenever we were looking back on the chapter in the stream, and I remember bringing up, if this is how we feel about this, imagine how we're gonna feel whenever like the One Piece is revealed, or like some of these streams start happening. Like, one of the major reasons why this week's chapter hit as hard as it did is because of the long-term investment. So imagine how it's gonna feel when Shanks meets Luffy. Imagine how it's gonna feel when we find the One Piece, when we get to Laugh Tale, when the dreams start happening, like Nami's dream and Sanji's dream with the All Blue, when Zoro defeats Mihawk. I mean, there's with Laboon and Brook. There's a lot of emotional stuff there, right? And so obviously this week's chapter was hit for a multitude of reasons, but that was definitely one of them. And so I was just thinking a lot about those other things, and like, man, this final saga is gonna be full of a lot of tears. it's gonna be crazy. So I couldn't agree more. I'm not ready either. I'm not ready for just the stuff in Elbaf. Just the stuff that's here. It's been a very emotional arc so far, specifically because of that long-term investment. We've been here for such a very long time, thinking about what could potentially happen within an arc like Elbaf. To actually see it happening before our very eyes still doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel real in the slightest. And with how good it's been so far, it's paying off all those years of long-term investment, you know, and I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. Thank you so much for that. Caribou-kun then comes in and says, many thoughts, of course, but as I watched your reaction, a panel that stood out to me is when Robin says, let's not focus on the dark stuff. That one hit, which I think is beautiful, coming from the one with a morbid sense of humor. Facts. Also wonder what all of those people who criticize Saul's fake out death feel about this. I think it more than makes up for any diluted feelings of the initial flashback. So Caribou-kun, I would highly recommend. If you have not, I mean, it's been a long time since I put out this thing, so I'm sure you have. But if you have not seen, at the very least, like the overall sentiment that's come from opposing perspectives in regards to this, I would definitely recommend watching that Morj video. I think it most certainly puts together an argument that can represent why it is that people feel the way that they do in regards to this. And it's so valuable. It's so valuable. And so I would recommend watching that video. I really would, just to see where they're coming from in regards to that, right? Now, in regards to the let's not focus on the dark stuff and the beauty that's from that, I think one of the things that Oda's done really well throughout the course of the series is be consistent with stuff like that, right? Whenever somebody has a certain quirk and a character says something and or does something that makes you remember that quirk that they have, that they keep coming back to, that's another form of what I'm also saying in long-term investment. It's the sitcom thing of you're so used to a character saying this over and over and over and over and over again, and or doing something over and over and over and over and over again, that when it becomes an integral part of the plot, which is what Gintama is so good with, Gintama and One Piece are really good with this, that when those quirks become something that's integral to the plot itself and becomes an emotional payoff for all these years of following that gag or that quirk, whatever it is, it hits that much harder. And I couldn't agree more. That moment hit me extremely hard on the let's not focus on the dark stuff. Like, not only is it Robin's sense of humor, but it's her trying to stay strong in front of Saul in a moment that we know is extremely emotional for her. It broke down eventually after that, right? But that's a moment with so many layers that you can peel with the let's not focus on the dark stuff, that it hit home. It hit home, and I really, really loved it. Specifically because of that. It's calling back to something that we know Robin for, and just an extremely dark sense of humor. And she's like, nah, today we're not focusing on the dark stuff, man. Not for your sake or for mine. Oh, sweet mother of God. Thank you, Caribou-kun. Michael Mickles, my boy. What's good, Mike? Michael Mickles, 8379 comes in and says, I just wanted to say congratulations on your progress with your writing. Much love. You are very inspirational, motivating. I can't wait to be able to get my hands on the finished product one day. I'll let you know if it's crap or not, or though I appreciate you so much, because that's what friends are for. Please, yo. Especially when it comes to my stuff. Listen, at the end of the day, anybody could be honest or dishonest as they want about One Piece. But when it comes to my stuff, listen, bro. Be as honest. Be as honest as you could possibly be. If you are not, I can't learn. You know what I'm saying? That's all I ask. That's all I'm ever gonna ask from anybody that reads my stuff in the future. Please be honest with what you like, what you dislike, and what you think can be improved on, or whatever the case may be. Because if I do not get that, I am never going to be able to learn. You know what I'm saying? And so, especially whenever I see a certain thing that pops up recurringly, right? Like I know in the ARC reader phase, or in the beta reading phase, that's something that is extremely integral to the entire thing, is when you receive so many comments and they're all talking about a multitude of different things, because obviously everybody experiences stories differently. But if there's like one thing that is recurring in all of these things, like just as a quick example, if someone says, yeah, this particular section of the story didn't really rock with me, and you have like, I don't know, 15 people who point out that particular section not working out for them, and they all have different reasons for saying that, you as the author have to come to a decision like, yo, what am I going to do with this? Am I going to keep it and keep the vision that it originally had entailed, believing in the longer thing? Or am I going to tweak this scene in order to see what can be improved upon here? So we need that. I need that. I can't speak for anybody else. I need that as someone who is still learning the ways of the professional, right? Still learning the ways of of how it is that these things are created. I need it. And so please be as honest as you possibly can, Michael. Because anyone who's watching this, whenever the time comes, because I can assure you, the time will come. Whether it is that someone publishes it under a company name, or whether I have to publish it with my own two hands, going into a print machine, placing my own sweat, blood, and tears within that printer, and the papers themselves come out. I will print it one day. I can promise you that. Whether it's digital or it's physical, you will get your hands on it. It could be your metaphorical hands or your actual hands, but I can assure you, one day, very, very soon, you'll be reading that book, and especially the one that I wrote last week. We coming with more than one too. We coming. Just remember to be honest. We coming. Thank you, Michael Mickles. I appreciate you. Rugger Jug comes in and says, first off, Coach, congratulations on your rough draft. Thank you. That thread was a joy to read. It had me smiling, knowing how important that must have been to you to just splurge your thoughts and ideas on the page. It truly was. You pulled a Sanderson going at that insane pace. I can never pull a Sanderson, man. Dude, his writing process is incredible. This man, on a daily basis, just look at everything that he does, right? Like, look at all the things that he's keeping up with his YouTube channel, running his own company, the collaborations that he often ends up doing. He's a teacher, a professor. Like, just look at all those things. In the midst of that, he has a flipping family, takes care of his kids. Like, boggles my mind that he has the writing process that he does. Goes in and writes in the middle of the day. Break, spends time with family, business, all of that. Comes back at nighttime, writes again. And then after that's his free time. I appreciate that writing process so much because it's so real. It feels so real and so unique to him. And I know that for a long time, he did something similar to what I'm doing, which is writing a lot of work. I write a lot of work in a pretty similar position as his, where whenever he was trying to make it, that's what he did at his hotel receptionist job was write all night, right? And that's, I'm going to assume, why he still continues to write at night is because he gained that routine, just continuing to do that for a really long time. He got that repetition from that, right? From doing that. And I really resonate with that because I've been doing that for so many years, writing at work. And I'm sure a lot of individuals do this, but it's just, it connects me to him in that way, and how you can potentially translate that once you go full time into something like that. It's just, I have a lot of respect for him, man. I don't know how he does it. He's a machine, and it's all high quality stuff. It's crazy. It's actually crazy. By the way, his fifth book in the Stormlight Archive just came out on its peak already. I'm glad anybody who is going out and experiencing Wind and Truth can have a good time, man. I need to catch up on the Stormlight Archive. I'm a huge fan of Brandon Sanderson in regards to the Mistborn stuff, and in regards to the one-offs. I love that man's one-offs, man. I love so many of them. all on my phone that I read on the Apple Bookstore. They're fantastic, but I need to catch up on Stormlight Archive. That's the one I've been slacking on. And I really, really enjoyed it. I just haven't had the opportunity to completely catch up to it. So I'll be joining you guys one day. And I'm so excited, obviously, to get to all of it. Rhythm of War and Wind and Truth. It's concluding if I'm not mistaken, the first arc of it. So exciting stuff there. Regardless, thank you, Rugger Jug. Anyway, to the peak chapter we just received, man, Oda really is the king of long-term payoff and callbacks. The reunion is top one. Now, the only ones I see being within the same tier as it for our top three are Brooklyn and Laboon and Luffy and Shanks. Yes. Time will tell when they will happen and how good they'll be, but I have full trust in Oda. I'm sure that both of them are going to end up being the most emotional reunions in the series. Brooklyn and Laboon for obvious reasons, but Luffy and Shanks. Excuse me, I've been thinking a lot about this one. Specifically, well, let me finish reading your comment No, you know what? I can't let go of this thought. The Luffy and Shanks one I've been thinking a lot about because after the Bartolomeo chapter, and what took place in that chapter specifically, I've been thinking about the long-term consequences of what this is going to mean for Luffy and Shanks' relationship, especially when we come off of the Loki chapter where we see where anyone who speaks of Shanks in a certain way directly affects him to the point where he goes Gear 4 and tries to box you on sight. It's on sight when you talk about Shanks in front of Luffy. So if that very same Shanks comes in and does something to conflict Luffy's emotions, where he destroys an entire fleet of individuals who are close to Luffy in a Bartolomeo, what is that going to do to his psyche? What are we going to see from Luffy when he has to make a decision on what to do as the captain of a main fleet? When the individual whom inspired him to become the pirate that he is in the first place ends up hurting one of his dear friends. What does he do then? That is what I'm so interested by, which is why I think the reunion, obviously as emotional as it's going to be, may be extremely emotional in a different way as well when we get to it. It's extremely exciting stuff. Obviously, there's a lot cooking in the kitchen right now with Shanks and Garling and all that stuff. But just in regards to the potential internal conflict that Luffy's going to have because of what's been happening around the world with Shanks and Bart and things of that nature, I think the reunion is going to be number one for a multitude of different reasons. Drama and conflict, emotional long-term payoff, but specifically, it may just end up being one of Luffy's greatest moments of growth and or showcasing his character as a captain. So I'm very, very excited for that. Very, very excited for that. Brooklyn Laboon, obviously. Great stuff. Time will tell when they will happen, how good they'll be, but I full trust in Oda. I'm currently rereading One Piece, the first reread I've done before since I caught up to the story of Sanji vs. Queen. I'm a little garden right now, and I couldn't have picked a better time to reread. I'm hoping for some huge Usopp development on Elbaf. Oda has to utilize him perfectly in this arc. Chapter 119. Even if one day I lose everything and die alone on a deserted island, I will die saying this with the pride of my life. I am Usopp, the brave warrior of the sea. If that were to happen in this arc, I would die. Me too. But I still like it if there was something that mirrored that, but not the outcome we'd think. He can still be a brave warrior of the sea without dying. Agreed. And now, as for what will kickstart the conflict in this arc, will Loki be the main antagonist of this arc, which would lead to Luffy being the reason for that conflict? Is it gonna be the man bear thing that was the end of 1132? I'm super intrigued. Me too. Thank you, Record Jug. I appreciate you. It might just be that huge man bear thing, man. That thing was spooky. I was actually in a call with Laz a couple of days ago because we're gonna do a collaboration soon, and we were setting some certain things up. And we were going back and looking through that stretch of chapters. And when we got to 1132, I was like, dude, what the flying flagnards is that bear? Like, it's sitting there spookily on top of this silhouetted figure that everyone thinks is, that we all think is like a Crocus or I'm sorry, not Crocus, Scopper Gabon or Shiki or Louis Arno or whoever in the Flying Planet is. It's like, dude, on top of this spooky silhouette, you have this bear the size of a mountain. And it just looks so spooky. It reminds me of like a Thriller bark and it's shading. It's like, what in the world is that bear, dude? Is it the bear? I don't know, man. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. But I appreciate your record, Jack. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate you. Doom Master 677 comes in. Says, the Robin and Saul reunion broke me this badly. I'm terrified of how badly Oda's going to make me weep when Vivi reunites with everyone. That's another reunion. Vivi reuniting with everyone's going to hit extremely hard, especially when Sabo reveals the fact that Vivi is a D to both Luffy and Vivi, because of course they're always going to be connected as Straw Hats, as friends, and as a bond that surpasses any sort of affiliation that they have to a particular group, right? That's an eternal bond. But when Sabo relays that information, and in particular with like what took place with Cobra and everything, and how all that took place, I do wonder what's going to come out of that from a mental standpoint, because obviously they're not going to care. Luffy doesn't care, but I think it would be really interesting to see the what everyone else feels whenever they hear this, what Vivi feels whenever she hears about this. It would be really interesting to see. But as far as like the emotional standpoint is concerned, yes, that's gonna hit so hard. I'm gonna be in tears because Alabasta was the arc, man. Whenever I was first getting into One Piece, and so obviously having gone through that arc multiple times, I've been so connected to Vivi as a character throughout so many years. So that's gonna be an extremely emotional one for me personally. So I'm excited for that. So excited for that. Thank you, Doom Master. Kanemaki then comes in and says, if I could survive this chapter briefly, if I could summarize this chapter briefly, I'd say it's a celebration of life and a reward for surviving. Yes, Kanemaki. Yes, and it is the most beautiful message you could possibly say. The most beautiful message. I just love it, man. I love the message. I love the way it was executed. And I love how we've come back to it all these years later, and it hits harder now than it did in the original Enies Lobby stuff, man. It's just so beautiful. So beautiful. Thank you, Kanemaki. Krish Bora, 5536, comes in and says, Oda reminded me I'm a Robin fanboy at heart with the return of her old hairstyle and hammering home with this chapter. And hammering that home with this chapter is so awesome. I love Robin so much. That's our Nico Robin, man. That's our Nico Robin. You know what I'm saying? That is our Nico Robin. Goat Luffy 97. Let me screenshot that. Goat Luffy 97 comes in and says, this is another one of those chapters of One Piece. Agreed. I've been saying that the past few chapters. I was really struck by 4 specific panels in this chapter. Number 1, Robin on the edge of the cliff. No human being, but especially a child, should ever get to the point where ending it all is the last and best option from their point of view. And what a harrowing panel. That's definitely one of the ones that hit me the hardest. Number 2, Nami's conversation with Robin. Nami saying she thought Robin was going to change her hair almost made me cry. I thought I was the only one, dude. That took a hit, yo. The level of awareness and understanding Nami and by extension the Straw Hats have for Robin always warms my heart. It does. And that's what this entire chapter was for. Luffy said no to food. The crew said no to food. Bro. I gotta stop. Before we start crying here. Saul saying Robin looks like Olvia. Saul's one of the few alive today who remembers Olvia, and seeing the expression from Robin was everything. Robin likely hasn't heard anyone say that to her in her entire life. Facts. Vegapunk saying the history is written by the victors. Made me remember Dofus' quote during Marineford about the winners becoming justice. The whole culmination of Egghead with Vegapunk's message was finishing what Ohara started. This is a victory for Ohara. On another level, what we experienced in Egghead is a microcosm of the victory for those people like Joy Boy and the people of the deep from 800 years ago. A victory that will one day usher in the dawn of the world, such beautiful multi-layered writing by Oda. An undeniable 10 out of 10 chapter, all Robin bias. Oh yeah, baby. All Robin bias. Thank you, Coach, for your reaction, willingness to be emotionally vulnerable. Best of luck with your continued writing journey. I'm gonna keep it 100 with you in regards to that. I don't like being emotionally vulnerable. Yeah, I don't like it. I am here every single week because all of y'all allow me to be able to do that. And I listen. When a series is able to touch you to the point to where the only thing that can be expressed in that moment is tears, it is a beautiful thing. It is a very beautiful thing because not everything is capable of inducing that much emotion out of you and producing something that makes you feel that way. Only very special moments and or stories can do that, at the very least for me. But in this particular case, I don't like it. Even though it happens all the time. It still gets a little used. I'm not used to it. It's just something that I can't. It's a part of me that is me. You know what I'm saying? And I can't just outward deny. I can't deny it. It's in front of all of our faces. But it is it most certainly is something that I've come to accept. It's just a part of my connection to this story, and something that just like what happened earlier in the week, and how fragile I felt, mentally and emotionally, that sharing that type of stuff is extremely important before heading into a chapter, just to let everybody know, so that we're all in the same playing field, right? I don't want to, I don't want to hide anything, especially in regards to experiencing this story and the freedom in which we should all be able to experience the story, considering that I'm not the only one going through stuff. Everybody goes through stuff, right, on a daily basis. And so I just want people to know that no matter where we are in regards to whether it's a YouTube content creator or an individual who's viewing it, we're all in the same playing field, man. Like this stuff hits. This stuff hits, and we can't do anything about it sometimes. You know, it's just the way it is. But I appreciate you, Goat Luffy. Thank you so much for the kind words, and thank you for the kind words in regards to the writing journey too. That means a lot. That means a lot. All right, so let's see. Let's go through just a few more here. Subra comes in and says, "I did not see this one for some reason, so I'm late." Come on, Subra, you gotta open your eyes. No, I'm playing. I'm kidding. As I missed last two streams, let me just say this: Oda's art and Elbaf just amazing facts. The RPG vibes are crazy. The living, breathing world, the dialogue of the characters is absolute perfection, and Elbaf feels so alive. Lots to talk about this chapter, but I'll keep it short. Absolute peak Oda emotional chapter. It's the moment I was looking forward to the most in Elbaf, except for some Usopp stuff. And Oda decided to start the arc with it, and I can't even imagine what awaits us next. I've been thinking about a lot about that too, like why we would structure the Saw reunion to happen this early. Would mean that some crazy stuff is incoming, and not just in regards to like peak stuff. I'm talking about like intense stuff is coming soon, toward this stuff could not have happened at any later point. So I'm fascinated. It amazes me that we have the potential of more reunions here. Luffy and Shanks, Usopp and Yasop, Bibi and the Straw Hats. Also very interested in the Loki plotline, because for the first time in the story, Luffy wasn't caught lying. So what Oda will cook there will have me intrigued. The 3 layers of Wano and the Sun World is this beautiful. I'm curious more about the Astral Plane more though, and I can't wait to see that too. The Astral Plane stuff fascinates me, in the Heaven Realm and all that. One fun thing is Oda introduced the Sunstone in Elbaf and the Sea Stone in Wano. If you think the Sea Stone is used to imprison someone, representing Emu, and the Sunstone is filled with powers of imagination and freedom, that represents Luffy, so is this the final arc of One Piece that will be set up here? That's actually a really good call. I think a massive connection is there between Wano and Elbaf. Agreed. Sorry, nothing much of a theory, just my thoughts. An absolutely phenomenal start to one of the most awaited arcs. Congrats to your draft completion 2, King. You're an inspiration to me. Now, you guys inspire me. You know, you guys inspire me, seriously, with the comments like that. I truly, truly do appreciate you. Thank you, Subra, for that. Thank you to everyone who has commented on the draft and things like that. But in regards to the Wano and Elbaf connection, I definitely do think that Fishman Island, Wano, Elbaf, these arcs are all connected in some way, shape, or form. Whether it be through their connection to, obviously, the Void Century, but also thematically. When we get into the Void Century stuff, there is going to be a lot of connections there. I strongly believe so, at the very least. So yes, and I love the connection there with Emu and Luffy. I think that could very well be something that we're going for here, with like the sea and sun, or the sun and the moon and stuff. I think those most certainly could be the case. Thank you, Subra. Thank you for that. I appreciate you. Mustafizzer123 says, one of the most emotional moments post time skip. Who's cutting onions here? It's always Oda, yo. It's always Oda's fault. It's always Oda's fault. I appreciate you, Mustafizzer. Thank you so much. Silvershot 5208 says, yo, Coach, sad that I couldn't be here much for the stream, but once I heard the Afterthoughts were going to come back, I know I had to drop my thoughts on the chapter. It was nice getting to see more from Robin's time as a fugitive when I died by the WG. Seeing her go through the massive trauma from being hunted by the world itself and even contemplating killing herself even at 8 years old is showing how dark One Piece can get, yes. However, her remembering not only Saul's but also her mother's words just keep on living, because she will make friends that will be not only be with her 24/7 but also fight tooth and nail for her, is just beautiful. It elevates Eddie's lobby for me, Silvershot. It really does. It elevates Water 7 Eddie's lobby for me when I think about it. Going back into the present time, we finally see the Straws reunited together at Elbaf. and also get to know a bit more about Elbaf and its culture as a whole, like the Sivalar, the mist ship moving on the island clouds to Warrior Springs, the Owl Library, where Salt teaches history, the three worlds, and the painters used to make rainbows. It's so cool. It reminds me of when we first got to Skypia and we were learning about the culture and how different it is from everything else we've seen. It's just so different. Luffy insisting on meeting Saul for protecting Robin is, I feel, another great character moment for Luffy. Agreed. And what he does at the end of the chapter is also a great character moment. As it shows that he gives genuine appreciation to those who help us as friends. Which is why I'm so fascinated on what the consequences of that Shanks moment is going to be, man. Finally, we wanted to get to this part of the chapter, Robin and Saul's reunion. Ever since it was revealed that Robin was alive back on Egghead, we've been anticipating this reunion for a long time now. Man, does this moment hit. The callback to chapter 392, released 19 years ago. Those parallels, man, they hit hard. They hit hard. Saul and Robin's conversation about her resemblance to Olivia, and how Haru's legacy will have been passed on. Finally, his praise for Robin for surviving all these years, from being constantly hunted down by not only WG, but by the world itself. It all just comes together so naturally and just hits. Just hits, yo. Excuse me, it just hits. I feel like even this whole synopsis can't even begin to get into how much chapter encapsulates the beauty of One Piece as a whole. Backstories and flashbacks to character writing, the callbacks, the emotional moments and impacts, and the world building. Chapters like these give me such an immense, genuine appreciation for not only the series as a whole, but the work and creativity put behind it as well. However, I feel that with the plot points being established during this arc and the arcs prior, Loki, Hydra D, and Three Worlds, the Red Man, Hinosuke, the Giant Nika, Buccaneer Lore, Usopp's Dream, more Void Century info, the Road Poneglyphs will either be fully revealed during this arc, or we're going to get a lot more information about it, which also makes me think we're going to get another 1079-1088 stretch in Elbaf, as well to not only unravel these mysteries one by one, but also see the remaining players of the final saga as well through fights and battles. I also feel like after this arc, we'll be in a position where we don't truly know where the Straw Hats will go next. That is something I agree with 150%. Be it Lodestar, Laugh Tale, Mari Joa, Space, we don't know. Even though I feel that's also a part of One Piece's greatest strength, its unpredictability. It's unpredictable unpredictability. Because One Piece is structured in such a way where we know and can expect how things are going to happen because of the constant repetition. But when we break out of that repetitive structure, and we get stuff like the Paramount War saga, or we get like how Water 7 changed things, or we get like how Whole Cake Island and Zoe changed up the formula a little bit, then that's whenever those really, really intense sequences start taking place. And I strongly believe that what we're about to get here is very similar to that Silver Shot. What we're about to get when we come out of this arc, and even in this arc, is going to be very similar to that. To where we're going to, our expectations and the way things have happened up until this point are going to be subverted in a way where we're going to be like, holy sweet mother of flagness, what is actually going on and where are we going? Like, it's getting crazy. And same thing with leaving Wano, going to Egghead. Like, it's beautiful, man. As we go deeper and deeper into the final saga, we're going to see some more and more mysteries being revealed and more factions going into full throttle for complete and utter dominance of the seas and maybe even the world. Buckle up, coach, because we're in for a wild ride. I'm here, baby. I'm here. You're here. It's time. It's time for what is bound to be maybe the most exciting section ever, you know? And it's like, man, you saying that, because I've been thinking about Elbaf just as its own adventure piece arc, where it'll be our last time to truly have an adventure on an island that has like no outside forces interfering, but it because of the Ragnarok stuff, because of the Warland stuff, I've been thinking a lot about maybe, of course, we're getting this adventure piece stuff this early on, because later on it will be a lot of major players coming into play here, not just within Elbaf itself, but around the world. Like you said, in a potential 1079-1088 stretch, which I could totally see happening, because after this arc, it is my belief that we are full throttle into the end game of the series. We're heading either to Lodestar, Laugh Tale, Moon Piece, Mari Joa, whatever is going to be the next major part of the final saga, which is going to lead us into the ending, right? So I believe it's our last time to truly set stuff up, which means there might just be that 1079-1088 stretch in the middle of this that's going to be some of the craziest stuff in the entire series. So yes, Silver Shot. Yes. Great comment. Thank you for that, yo. I truly appreciate you. Alright, so let's go ahead and finish this Afterthoughts here. Let's read these final two here. DJ07, this is what an emotional chapter. It is P. All caps. So I have thoughts and questions for you, Coach. I know someone bring this up already, but do you think there's going to be some betrayal happening in the final war with the Grand Fleet backstabbing Luffy like Sword stabbing Whitebeard? It's possible. It's possible. Because what I've noticed and realized in this chapter is that Luffy stops the feast to celebrate with the giant pirates because the Strats want to come to see the reunion of Robin and Saul. Hadrian's still okay with that, but in the final war, there are going to be some plot twists that will change forever, and that is betrayal. Because, you know, feast celebration didn't happen. Anyway, like I said in live chat, if we get Luffy Shanks reunion plus V reunion with the Strats, Elbaf is the greatest arc ever. I still think we're going to get chaos at the end. With Loki at some point, we'll be free. Just so hyper interested in Loki's character. That's all I have to say, Coach. What a chapter. On your betrayal comment, DJ. Well, first and foremost, for the reunion stuff, we get Luffy and Shanks in this arc. It's the greatest arc ever. You know what I'm saying? That's it. But in regards to the betrayal stuff, I don't think we'll be getting a betrayal on the Strat side. But I do think betrayal will be an important part of the final saga because I can see betrayals happening on the Celestial Dragon side. Specifically, I can see betrayals happening on the Gorosei side. I see a major betrayal against Imu happening on the Gorosei side. Yes, I do. Whether it's Garling doing it himself or one of the other Gorosei members doing it after having plotted for all these years, there is going to be a betrayal on the Gorosei side. That is one of the theories I'm going to be hanging on to throughout the course of the final saga. That will be a big one there. And then, of course, on the WG and Marine side of things, I think there will also be betrayals. Not necessarily betrayals to themselves and their ideals, but betrayals to what has been expected of these characters throughout the course of the series and to the people around them. So they'll be true to themselves and their characters and their values, but they'll be betraying what maybe the WG has stood for up until this point in time. So there will be a lot of betrayals, and that'll be a major part of the final saga, I strongly believe. But as far as the Strats and the Grand Fleet, if there is going to be one, that's going to be crazy. I can't see who it would be at this point in time. You know what I'm saying? So those are my thoughts. But I do think betrayal will be a major part of the final saga for sure. And like I said, it will be on the Celestial Dragons, WG, Gorosei side of things. That's the way I see it, at least. Thank you, DJ. Now, Oda's editor. Ray Torres comes in and says, expanding on my theory from the stream, the Strats are in the most comfortable situation they've ever been in right now. A nation of warriors adoring them, some of them who believe Luffy's god. Their prince is Luffy's subordinate. Robin gets a reunion with Saul, apparently for free. Where's the conflict? What do they even fight? What do they even fight when they're on top? From the Louis Arnaud quote, All the God Talk, the White Sea Clouds and more, this arc is being set up as a strong Skypiea parallel. This time, Luffy is the god that to be brought down. Love it. If you're a god, the place where Ragnarok starts is the wrong neighborhood to tour. Oh man, hold up. Is the writing this fire, bro? I think Ragnarok will begin to the characters who envy the Strats' exalted position. Loki because the giants think Luffy's the sun god instead of him. Road because Hadradin became his subordinate. And Kid washed up on the shore because Shanks cares about Luffy. And something he might find out about from Colin. Oh yeah, that's true. We gotta involve Colin in this as well. These characters wish they were godlike, but have instead been reduced to nothing because of Luffy. Even Kid, he won the Elbaf log post route by drawing lots with Luffy. Together, they may even represent all aspects of Luffy's power. Road has the imagination. Kid's crew, via Killer, has uncontrollable laughter. A continuation of the Smile plotline, which Oda could cook on for those of us who were sad about that not getting a big conclusion in Wano. As for Loki, a theory I really like is that he believes he's the sun god because his fruit power resembles the Gomu Gomu. I love that theory. His most well-known mythological ability, shapeshifting, which could resemble Gear 5. But if Flagnard's Oda, Jika can be real if we believe. Damned One Jika can be real if you believe. Then there's Saul. I don't believe he's the man marked by flames, but that won't matter if Kid finds out about him. He and the Ohara books are in danger. And in the library is Robin's epilogue. She doesn't complete it with her research to become a teacher to the world. But in the immediate future, she has to protect Saul in the library. Save your tears for them. Although if the library is lost, Vegapunk still has it memorized. Got it memorized? Kingdom Hearts 4 tonight, baby. Anyways, I'm sure there will be more new / returning villains too. I beg for NL, but Big Mom seems an obvious choice as well. Let's go for both. Let's go for both. Why not both? Where they work together and never even meet, envy and hatred will lead to all these characters to the same goal, destroying the Straw Hats. Straw Hats versus underdogs is such a fresh idea, and I really love to see it. I love the concept, man. P.S. Congratulations on completing the draft. You're an inspiration to us all. Thank you, Praetorus, for the kind words. I truly do appreciate you for that. That means the world. But man, your comment is spitting, dude. I love the flip. I love how Straw Hat CS coming into this big Yonko energy, now being the top dogs as someone else is trying to overthrow. I love that. I love the potential Straw Hats versus nature thing that could potentially be happening here with like, the time stuff. There's so many things we can do here that have never been done before in the series that makes it extremely exciting, right? And I'm so down with it. I'm so down with it, yes. To all of the above. The Robin stuff, obviously, I'm very on board with that, with Saul and why those books could be in danger. The Loki stuff, for sure, we talked about that before, but I just love that concept. But what you said in regards to those characters having something from the Straw Hats, and it's having something from Luffy in particular, they represent each of them. And I think that's so true. And it could be seen as a point of envy, of like, why couldn't I be the main character, you know? And I love that idea so much. Great commentary, Taurus. I don't know if I can add anything else onto this, man. Yeah, onto NL and Big Mom. Most certainly think Big Mom is coming. I think that's for certain. I don't know if the rest of her crew is going to be here, but I can see Big Mom for sure. And NL obviously is one that I can't wait to see in the story again, whether that's in the final arc, or whether it's here and now. I'm flipping NL, dude. You know, I'll take that anytime. But the Straws versus Underdogs thing is so cool. Then, if that's the route that we take, man, we are in for some heat, dude. We are in for some heat. Oda's editor, thank you as always for cooking. Make sure to tell Oda that we love him, and I love you all too. Thank you so much, everyone, for stopping by. I appreciate y'all. Thank you for the kind words. Thank you for watching. I think you've been patient with me as we've transitioned into this new era here on the channel where I'm not releasing as much stuff as I once was. So I thank all of you for being patient with me, and I look forward to seeing what the final chapter of the year has in store for us, man. But I will see y'all next time. Thank you so much for everything. This has been the Afterthoughts. Y'all take care. Can't wait for the Game Awards tonight. It's gonna be peak, yo. It's gonna be peak!